Your toddler locks eyes with a stranger in the grocery line, not a glance, a full, unblinking stare. The woman smiles, your kid gives her nothing back. She waves, she does the voice strangers use. She says, well, hi there, cutie, and your 2 year old just keeps watching her like she's a documentary. And there you are, cheeks going hot, whispering, say hi, buddy, be polite, wave at the nice lady. Still nothing. You laugh the embarrassed laugh, you apologize for him, and you wonder for about the 10th time this month whether something is actually wrong with your kid. That stare is not rudeness, and it's not a social problem, and it's not shyness in the way you've been told to think about shyness. It's one of the most developmentally appropriate things a 2 to 5 year old can do in public. Once you understand what's happening behind those eyes, you're going to stop apologizing for it. Picture a little girl standing in a grocery aisle, holding onto her mother's cart, staring at a man with a big beard and a loud voice 3 feet away. She's running data. She's taking in his face, his beard, the pitch of his voice, the way he moves his hands, whether her mom's body language says safe, and whether this stranger matches any category she already has a file for. That's a staggering amount of processing, and she's doing it with a brain that is, in the most literal sense, still under construction. There's a metaphor I love from a book called The Whole Brain Child. The authors describe a child's brain like a two-story house. Downstairs is finished and fully furnished from birth. And that's where the big reactions live, the instincts and the fear and the freeze. Upstairs is where all the things we call social skills live. Saying hello, smiling on cue, reading the room, knowing what polite looks like. In a toddler, upstairs is a construction site. There are patches of sky where the roof should be. So when a friendly stranger leans in and asks, "Can you say hi?" and your kid just stares, your kid isn't refusing. He's downstairs. The part of his brain that would produce a wave and a smile isn't fully wired yet to the part that's flooded with new information about this person. The staring is the sound of a tiny processor working at capacity, and it's the healthy response. The kid who runs up to every adult and hugs them on command isn't necessarily more socially advanced. That kid might just be better at performing for grown-ups. The kid who watches first is doing exactly the work evolution designed her to do. I read a story once about a respectful parenting teacher who ran a parent-toddler class, and one morning 20-month-old Jenna came in with her aunt for the first time. While the other toddlers were exploring the room, climbing and investigating, Jenna kept bringing toys over to her aunt instead. She brought a stuffed dog, then some hooked-together rings, then a toy bus. And the aunt, being kind, responded to each one by rolling the bus or taking the rings apart for her. The teacher watched this and saw something the aunt couldn't see. By playing for Jenna, even warmly, even well, the aunt had accidentally turned her into the audience instead of the actor. Every other kid in the room was the star of her own exploration, and Jenna was watching a performance. That story isn't about staring at strangers, but the idea underneath it is. Toddlers are built to watch. And watching is not a failure to participate. It's how they do participate. When adults rush in to break up the watching, to fill the silence, to turn the stare into a social exchange, we're doing the same thing that Aunt did. We're interrupting the child's actual work so we feel more comfortable. So the next time your kid freezes at the supermarket and just stares at the cashier, try something. Don't narrate, don't prompt, don't apologize. Let her watch. You'll feel every second of the silence, and she won't because she's busy. Let's talk about you for a minute, because half of the reason this topic hurts is not the toddler, it's the mother standing next to her. You know the exact feeling. The stranger is being kind, your kid is giving her nothing, and inside your head, a full courtroom is in session. Is he going to be the rude kid in kindergarten? Does this woman think I never taught him manners? Should I be worried about his social development? Why does my sister's kid wave at everyone and mine just stares like a tiny judge? A French pediatrician wrote about this, and his take has stuck with me for years. He noticed that a certain kind of modern mother, when her toddler is playing quietly or just watching the world, can't tolerate the silence. She has to jump in and narrate. She has to flip the kid upside down and shout, "You're upside down." She has to make the quiet moment into a performance. And his reading was blunt. He said these mothers weren't doing it for the kid. They were doing it loudly, in public, to be seen as good mothers. His advice was simple. Periods of playing and laughing should alternate naturally with periods of peace and quiet. You don't have to entertain your child constantly. That's what the stare often is. It's the quiet half. It's the boring, necessary downtime a toddler's brain needs to make sense of the world. And the reason we interrupt it so often isn't that our kids need interrupting. It's that we feel watched ourselves by the stranger and by every other mother in the store and by the imaginary version of us who would have had a more outgoing child. So when your toddler stares at a stranger and you feel that hot wave of embarrassment, that feeling is not information about your child. It's information about the pressure you're under. There's one thing I want you to stop doing starting today. Stop calling your kid shy in front of your kid. It's the most natural thing in the world to say. The aunt leans in. The kid hides behind your leg. You laugh awkwardly and say, "Oh, she's just shy." It gets you out of the moment and takes the pressure off everyone. My friend told me when she was a shy little girl, her own mother used to protect her by telling people she's too shy to talk. In the short term, she was grateful because people would leave her alone. But she said she grew up feeling lonely. And to this day, as an adult, she still has a hard time talking with people she doesn't know. The label stuck to her. Here's why that matters. Kids form their sense of who they are by listening to how we describe them. Call a kid rude, and rudeness tends to continue. Call a kid shy, and shy tends to calcify. What your child hears when you explain her to a stranger isn't a polite social script, it's a verdict. She hears, "This is who I am, my mom just confirmed it." So what do you say instead? You say almost nothing. You can give her time. You can say she's still looking or she's thinking about it, or you can say nothing at all and just smile at the adult and move on. Your kid doesn't need a label. She needs a few more seconds. Okay, so what do you do? Not in theory, but on a Tuesday afternoon at Target when it's actually happening. 3 things. First, prepare her in the car. If you know you're walking into grandma's house or a birthday party or any room full of adults who are going to lean in and ask for hellos, tell her what's coming. You might say something like, "We're going to grandma's," and she gets really excited when she sees you, so she might want a hug right away. You can take your time. You can wave first if you want. You don't have to do anything until you're ready. That isn't coddling her. That's giving her a map before she walks into the room. Second, let the warm-up take as long as it takes. I know an aunt who only got to see her nephew a couple of times a year, so every visit they had to start over from scratch. One year she tried something ridiculous. She put a sock on her hand and let the sock puppet talk to him instead of talking to him herself. He loved it. The next visit, she came prepared with eyes drawn on the sock, and he warmed up to her so much faster. The puppet worked because it took all the eye contact pressure off. Her nephew could watch the puppet, and the puppet wasn't asking anything of him. You can do the same thing with a stuffed animal in your bag, or a book you pull out, or anything that gives your kid something to look at that isn't a stranger's face. Third, save the conversation for later. After the grocery store, in the car on the way home, you can say, "That lady at the checkout said hi to you, and you were quiet. You were looking at her hat. It was a really big hat, wasn't it?" You're giving words to what just happened, which is how your kid's brain eventually learns to run that kind of exchange more smoothly. Not by being forced into it in the moment, but by being understood afterward. So the next time a stranger leans in and your kid freezes and you feel the heat rise in your face, try something new. Don't apologize for her, don't label her, and don't rush to fill the silence. Put your hand on her back, smile at the other adult, and let your kid finish her work. That stare isn't rudeness. It's a brain under construction doing exactly what it was built to do. Your job isn't to fix the staring, it's to protect the watching. She isn't being rude, she's being two.